Hey pieces, it's your boy Master JT, and I'm back with another video. As always, please like, comment, and share. Please share.
1,000 people tested positive. How do you start to trace 250,000 people? How many people do you need to trace 250,000 people? That's why it's an extraordinarily impossible task, and you do the best you can.
Is that good use of resources, considering, the state itself is strapped, $10 billion, $15 billion hole. 250,000 people, exponentially, just look around this room, there's 30 people in this room. If one of us were infected, the contact tracing on that, it spirals out of control almost immediately.
Yeah, look, contact tracing, life is options. Going forward, how do you educate yourself on reopening? Well, we need data. Where does the data come from? The data comes from testing. Now, you have a hard database of hospitalizations. You can look at the hospitalizations, and they will tell you how many people got sick enough to go into the hospital. That's all it tells you. You don't know how many people were infected. You don't know what is happening on the infection rate spread. All you know is the hospitalization rate. So testing will give you, first of all, more data on how fast the infection is spreading and how fast it's spreading where. You're going to get a very different number in New York City than you get in Buffalo, than you get in the North Country, than you get in Albany. Okay, that'll inform the regional reopenings. And then what you're trying to do, to the extent possible, the whole concept of testing, tracing, isolation, not just here, but every state is talking about this. To the extent you can, when you find a positive person, trace it back and isolate. Well, if you wind up with a population, let's say we wind up with a 10% infection rate in the state or in the city, that's, 1 million people in New York City infected. How could you possibly trace 1 million people? You can't. You do the best you can. But for every person you isolate, Jesse, that's one less person walking around infecting another 10 people.
Isn't there an argument that it's endemic already, that, even if it is just 10%, some estimates have said it might be 50, it might be 60. How much money could this possibly cost, and where is that money going to come
Well, if it was 50, 60%, you'd be at a different point. If you were at 50, 60, then you would be arguing what they call herd immunity. That would be, don't do any of this. That's sort of Sweden and like Brazil. Just let it go, and whoever gets infected, gets infected. Whoever dies, dies. And at one point, everybody, a critical mass of the population is infected, and then whatever happens, happens. It's not going to be 50, 60. And that strategy some countries have adopted. A lot of people die with that strategy, which is a downside. But it's not going to be 50, 60. My guess is it's going to be 10% about now in the high infection areas. It's a guess, but I would guess 10% downstate, single digits upstate.
Governor, you never really get a better understanding of this virus than when you have a parent in the throes of the virus. And I wanted to know what you were doing in terms of convalescent serum. Maybe Dr. Zucker is better to answer this. And monoclonal IL-6, is that something that the state is using?
You're right. Dr. Zucker is in a better position to answer.
So on the question about the sera, we are working on this. There have been patients who have received this from within some of our hospital systems. The data, we're still waiting to hear about the clinical results from that. So that's moving forward. The more people that we have that end up positive and recover, the more sera will be available and the more information we'll have on that part. On the monoclonal antibodies, so this Regeneron Corporation here in New York State has been looking at this issue, and we've been speaking with them. There is data to suggest that the use of monoclonal antibodies may be beneficial based on how the monoclonal antibodies have been used for other conditions where they end up with the same kind of response, where the what's called cytokine storm, where their lungs are damaged as a result of infection. So there may be a relationship here, and we're working closely with them on that.
Personal experience, the oxygenation level went from the low 70s one day and overnight into the mid-90s. I mean, it was a dramatic turn of events.
And that was part of that's right.
Monoclonal.
Right, the monoclonal antibodies. That's.
So, and it's not in this state, so I just want you to know I'm not saying anything but you've shared a lot, Governor, so I thought I'd share also. But I wanted to let you know that, is there a shortage of this monoclonal IL-6? Is this something that still has to be developed? Is it readily available?
Well, the IL-6 receptor antibodies, there's two different companies that have been working on it, and that has been given to patients across the state who have this already. And the monoclonal antibody, there's a specific therapy for that that's also not really experimental, but it has been provided to those who are ill.
Upstate tracing, are you interested at all in moving that upstate to also do tracing? And also you said there was going to be an announcement with nursing home inspections possibly today?
Yes, we're going to make the nursing home announcement tomorrow. It's in the works, though. We wanted to talk about this today. What was the first part of your... tracing is going to be done statewide, and testing has to be done statewide. Testing does two things for you, remember. The rate of viral infection spread, so you have a calibration on the reopening. And second, on the antibody testing, one of the upsides is you find people who have the antibodies, so they can contribute for the convalescent plasma by donating their blood. Joseph?
We talked a lot about reopening businesses upstate. How about opening schools? It seems like in recent days you've suggested that that's becoming increasingly difficult. Is it unlikely that schools will open before fall?
When you say, my opinion, when you say you're not going to open schools, you may as well say you're not going to open businesses, because the two are connected. I don't know how you really open businesses without opening schools. You want me to go to work? Hallelujah. What do I do with my kids? So the two, to me, are very connected. The school year is up in June. To say we're not going to open businesses until June, I'm not there yet. I don't think people are there yet. This is a situation that changes week to week. So let's get the information week to week. Let's get the data, and then we'll make a determination. Plus, we're trying to coordinate with Jersey, Connecticut, other states. So let's get the data. In the meantime, schools will not open until we say schools will open statewide. Period. New paragraph. Opening schools is very difficult. I would not open a school unless we knew that the schools were disinfected, that they had a protocol going forward to disinfect the schools, that they had a protocol where there was going to be a certain amount of social distancing and protective personal behavior in the school. That is a very, very big undertaking, Joe.
When you think about schools from a regional basis, can you do that regionally as well? You open some schools in some parts of the state where the infection rates are lower. I mean, have you looked at
Theoretically, could you? Yes. Could you say North Country schools are going to open with all those provisos? Yes, you could say that. You could say you can open North Country schools having nothing to do with Nassau schools and Westchester schools. Yes. They're totally disconnected, and you could argue that you could make those as isolated decisions.
So that would be part of this whole...
Yes. Yes, sir. Yeah, because once you say we're moving towards reopening, one of the first integral pieces is business and school, and then transportation, right? You need those three gears to turn at the same time. You can't turn the business gear, which is intermeshed with the school gear, which is intermeshed with the public transportation gear. You turn one gear, you have to turn all three gears. Karen?
Any update on the antibody testing that is taking place at grocery stores?
Few days. How do you know it's taking place at grocery stores? Did they ask you? I can't tell if you're smiling behind the mask.
This is a temptation to go, believe it or not, but so it's going to be a few days. How does the process what is an update on it?
It's going very well. We're taking surveys, random surveys all across the state, literally grocery stores, street corners, just to get random samples of people to take an antibody test. It's going to be the largest study done in the country to find out how many people have been infected. Jesse said maybe 50, 60% of the population, that would take you to one place. If it's 5, 10%, it would take you to another place. What is it? What percent of the population has been infected? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I think this, I think this, I think this. Yeah, it's nice what you think. What's the fact? Nobody knows the fact. Bernadette?
Governor, what is the state doing, though, to help nursing homes comply with that executive order saying that patients cannot be denied readmission or admission to nursing homes? Because I've spoken to several different sources in that field who have said it's difficult to keep staffing levels high and then also separate the COVID from the non-COVID patients. So what is the state doing to assist with those facilities, and then also plan B if these facilities don't have enough space to separate those patients?
You want to answer that, Doctor?
So, two parts to that. One is the issue of what we're doing. As I mentioned once before, we are working very closely with the leadership of the nursing homes, both to get more staff to help them out. Obviously, the suppliers will be working very hard on that. We're also looking at how they could help cohort patients a little bit better, so that those who are positive are cohorted within the nursing home to address that. And the second part,
What happens if they can't? What if the space doesn't allow? Is there a plan B, another space? Can they be moved somewhere else?
We're looking at that as well. You have to remember that one of the challenges a little bit with nursing home patients, those who are really elderly, you take them out of their environment, it's very disruptive. So we're trying to work to balance both maintain the environment that they're comfortable with, but also provide their safety from the standpoint of public health and just general safety.
Yeah, but Bernadette, let's just flip the equation for a second, okay? The state doesn't run a nursing home. Your questions sound like the state runs the nursing home. The state does not run the nursing home. It is run by a private corporation. The Acme Corporation said, you should bring your mother to the Acme Corporation. It's the best nursing home in the world. And they get paid for that service. The state regulates the nursing home. But it's a private corporation, sometimes it's not for profit, but basically the same thing, that gets paid for their service. And they're supposed to provide that service. That's what they do. They take care of senior people, people with illnesses, etc. That's what they get paid to do. We set a regulatory framework for them to do it. If they can't do it, they should say, I can't do it. I can't take care of your mother. Don't pay me. I can't take care of your mother. I don't have the space. I don't have the staff. I can't take care of your mother. And then we'll help you find another facility for your mother, because there are a lot of beds in nursing homes. So we could find another nursing home for you. But they have to do the job they're getting paid to do. And if they're not doing the job they're getting paid to do, and they're violating state regulations, then that's a different issue. Then they should lose their license. That's how this relationship works. The state is not going to come in and do their job for them. That would be a state-run facility. That's a prison. That's, a different situation where we run the facility. We don't run these facilities.
But the state's saying that these nursing homes that, as you said, are private, have to take back these COVID patients. So that's a state mandate. How do you reconcile those
it's
two?
their patient. It's their patient. And their patient that they're getting paid to take care of now contracts the COVID virus. Okay, now you have to take care of that patient who you're getting paid to take care of with the COVID virus.
And what if they can't? Are they... Then
If you can't...
be non-compliant with...
Well, yeah, if you can't, if you're saying I can't take care of my patients, then fine. Then tell us you can't take care of the patients, and we'll make other accommodations.
What's the penalty for that if they can't comply?
Well, if you can't run your business, you can't run your business. Penalty is your own. It's, you're out of business.
But if people are dying because, again, the facility, it seems like a revolving door.
If you are not providing adequate care for your patients, then you're violating your license.
What about providing hotel rooms. The city has put.
Yeah, look, if they say any nursing home that calls up and says, I can't do this, we'll make other accommodations.
Governor,
We'll get there. Go ahead.
do you have a timeline on when this contact tracing will be fully operational, and any update on the timeline for the 40,000 tests and when you'll meet that goal as well?
No timeline on either. The tracing will start. It's actually starting now, but it has to be brought to a level that nobody even imagined before. So that's going to be an iterative, incremental process, right? You're starting now with what you have. We have about 500 tracers now, but build on that, hire more staff, more training. How do you do this cross-jurisdictional tracing, which doesn't happen now? The tracers have been in the old framework of I do my city, I do my county. So this is going to be all new, and we'll be ramping up. So tracing is going on. Tracing will be ramping up incrementally going forward. When do you stop ramping up? Maybe never. On the 40,000 testing, same thing. Testing is going on now. We're doing more testing than any state in the United States, more testing per capita than any country on the globe. So we're doing a phenomenal amount of tests, and we've ramped up faster than anybody else. And we'll continue to ramp up.
Do you have an estimate on cost?
Let's just do everybody with this. Go ahead.
I have a couple questions for you and one for Melissa. I don't know if you can hear, but there are protesters outside right now honking their horns and raising signs. We did speak to a few of them before we came in, and these are regular people who are not getting a paycheck. Some of them are not getting their unemployment check. And they're saying that they don't have time to wait for all of this testing, and they need to get back to work in order to feed their families. Their savings is running out. They don't have another week. They're not getting answers. So their point is the cure can't be worse than the illness itself.
Yeah.
What is your response to them?
The illness is death. What is worse than death?
Well, what if somebody commits suicide because they can't pay their bills?
Yeah, but the illness is maybe my death as opposed to your death. They said the cure is worse than the illness. The illness is death. How can the cure be worse than the illness if the illness is potential death?
But what if the economy failing
Worse than death?
equals death because of
it
mental illness? The people stuck at home.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't equal death. Economic hardship, yes, very bad, not death. Emotional stress from being locked in a house, very bad, not death. Domestic violence on the increase, very bad, not death. And not death of someone else. See, that's what we have to factor into this equation. Yeah, it's your life, do whatever you want. But you're now responsible for my life. You have a responsibility to me. It's not just about you. You have a responsibility to me, right? We started here saying it's not about me, it's about we. Get your head around the we concept. So it's not all about you. It's about me too. It's about we. Also, I get the economic hardship. Everybody gets it. Everybody feels it. Federal government is sending out a check for individuals, $600, an additional $1,200. We are moving heaven and earth to get the unemployment payments going. So we get the economic anxiety. The question is, how do you respond to it? And do you respond to it in a way that jeopardizes public health and possibly causes more people to die? And think about it as if it was your family that might get infected, right? And that's what we're talking about. And when you think about it as your family, you have a different perspective. I'll tell you the truth. It's not an abstract argument. Well, they say He says, she says. He says, she says. I know that's how it works. Well, the protesters say this. Governor says this. Protesters say this. Governor says this. Okay, think about it as your family might be in the mix. Because when I see 484 New Yorkers die, I feel that it's like people in my family. And nothing comes before the public health risk of somebody else's life. And that's where we are.
But they're also saying, if you can't afford to pay me unemployment or your system is not set up,
you will be paid
but
unemployment
they can't
from
wait
the day.
for they can't wait for the money. They're out of money.
Yeah, we're talking about a couple of days lag on the unemployment insurance, and they will get the check from the date of unemployment. Does not cost them an extra penny. Now, they can say unemployment insurance isn't enough. I get it. Even with the $600 check and the $1,200 check and the unemployment insurance benefit is not enough. I understand the economic hardship. We all feel it. The question is, what do you do about it? And do you put public health at risk? And do you drive up the number of deaths for it? Because you have no idea how to reopen now.
So they're saying that, is there a fundamental right to work if the government can't get me the money when I need it? Is there a fundamental right
you want to go to work? Go take a job as an essential worker. Do it tomorrow. Right? You're working.
I am.
You're an essential worker. So go take a job as an essential worker.
But the people aren't hiring because of the
No, there are
pandemic.
people hiring. You can get a job as an essential worker. So now you can go to work and you can be an essential worker and you're not going to kill anyone.
Rough estimate of how many of the 250,000 people have been traced? And is the 10 million going to be enough? How much can the state afford to put toward this, if anything? Will federal funding be needed?
There's $1.3 billion available from the federal government for tracing.
So is there a rough estimate on how many?
$1.3 billion available from the federal government, which will help fund tracing for New York. Yes.
Is there a rough estimate of how many of the 250,000 people have been traced that have tested positive have been traced?
No.
Governor, you pointed out the nursing homes are private entities. We are hearing reports that many of the nursing home staff are not getting the proper PPE. And so the question is, who has the onus of providing the PPE?
The ownership of the nursing facility. No, they're not a state-run entity. That's what I'm trying to say. I know there's a thought a nursing home is run by the state. It's a wrong thought. Facts. The private entity runs it. We regulate the private entity. If the private entity is not performing their duty as they should be, then the state takes action versus the private entity. You can lose your license. You'll be out of business. If you're not providing your staff with the right equipment, you're out of business. That we can do. See, for the state, the question should be, we have been helping them with more PPE, but again, it's not our job. The question would be, why don't we put that nursing home out of business? Which is a fair question to the state. And if we have a nursing home that is violating, and that's part of what we're going to talk about tomorrow, then they should lose their license. If they can't do their job.
Hospitals, you give PPE to hospitals.
Yeah, let's do persons.
Families feel safe, though, putting their sick loved ones into nursing homes. But also, what about the people whose family members are not sick? Like, what if my grandma's in a nursing home? She's healthy, but she's old. She might have a pre-existing condition. And the same facility that she's living in is now accepting COVID patients, and the facility doesn't have the capacity to separate the two.
Yeah,
what happens under the state policy?
There is no state policy on. Yeah, but if the question is, should I put my mother in a nursing home? Anyone who has read any of the facts or any newspaper article has to appreciate that this virus attacks people in nursing homes. It is ground zero. Our introduction was in Seattle, in a nursing home. The nursing homes are the top top location where this predator feeds. It puts together vulnerable people in one location, right? When the lion is going across the plain looking for prey, here's the prey, vulnerable people in one place under one roof. That's where the predator will attack and has attacked and will continue to attack. And the predator is insidious and very good at what it does. And we've tried everything to keep it out of a nursing home, but it's virtually impossible. I believe we can reduce the rate of infection in nursing homes. But once it gets in, it is vicious. That is a fact. So if somebody says to me, should I put my mother in a nursing home now? Now is not the best time to put your mother in a nursing home. That is a fact. Let's hear someone who hasn't asked before. Go ahead. Take one more.
Government employees, and how many would you like to see in upstate New York? What departments do they work through? The department?
We're going to have to hire many more tracers. The capacity is going to have to expand. It will be concentrated downstate because that's where the concentration of cases are. But it will also be employed in upstate New York. Will be a statewide, again, coordinated on a tri-state basis. But it will be proportionate to where the cases are. And when we see a cluster and an outbreak, quote unquote, hot spot, then one of the strategies is send testers, tracers, isolate. That's how you reduce the spread in that hotspot. Let's do one more. Somebody who hasn't asked one.
Nursing homes that are having issues gathering PPEs. It's also volunteer firefighters, some EMTs. Is there some sort of stockpile the state can draw from?
Whatever we have, we distribute. And then we ask the federal government for assistance. They've been sending us what they have and what they can get. But one of the lessons learned from this is, as soon as we get our head above water, this is madness that we have to buy gowns and masks from China. And we're wholly dependent on China for masks, gowns, gloves, ventilators. Everything came back to China. That all has to change. And look, it's an opportunity for this state, other states too, but we have to be able to make this equipment right here and be able to turn up the volume when something like this happens. It's been right across the board. We can't get masks, can't get gowns, can't get ventilators, vials, reagents. The entire supply chain has to be brought back to this country, period. I meant you in the back, I'm sorry.
So two questions, actually. I haven't seen an updated figure in a while about what is the estimate on what the state has spent to combat COVID-19 to date. I also wanted to know about antibody testing. Are there people who are being tested since they're asymptomatic? So many asymptomatic people, are they being given an antibody test? How is that working?
Do we antibody test asymptomatic people? Yes, it's a random sample. I'm sorry. I should have known that answer. It doesn't do symptomatic, asymptomatic. If Karen was in a grocery store and anybody who walks up to the counter, they will test. So it's not symptomatic, asymptomatic. It's random.
If they were symptomatic, you wouldn't be given the antibody test at that point, right?
Oh, if you were symptomatic, you don't get the antibody test.
Regular test.
Cost of what?
To date, updated to date what the state has spent to combat that.
What's the updated spend to date on COVID?
It's approximately $2.8 billion. About half of that is in New York City.
And what do you estimate the tracing program will cost?
I don't know.
Tens of millions?
I don't know. The federal government has provided money in this past budget, but whatever it costs, it costs. You know, what's the value of a life, Jesse?
When they go out in the world and then they come back in, can the regulation from the health department, can there be some regulation to ensure that the nursing homes are doing better in terms of whether taking a temperature or doing something with the staff to make sure that they don't bring this into the nursery.
We have done regulations on that, and we'll have more to say on that tomorrow. I don't want to give away tomorrow's news because then you won't come. Thank you, guys.